pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
My name is Connie Cass. I'm president of the school board.
Yolanda Smith, vice president.
Eddie Robinson, secretary.
Michael Poole, treasurer. Nathaniel Lewis, board trustee. Rance Williams, board trustee. Gerald B. George, board trustee.
Linda Wood, superintendent. Paula Lightsey, interim associate superintendent of instruction.
Joe Berry, associate superintendent for human resources, legal and labor affairs. Debbie Trump, associate superintendent for administrative services.
And we have Mr. Cole Christian and Miss Paulette Anderson taking minutes. We have two gentlemen working our system for recording. And I'd like to announce that a closed session will be held tonight after the regular board meeting for a legal and labor affairs update. For the staff and student recognition, we have the Leaving Middle School 2014 Women of Color STEM Conference at Science, Technology, Engineering, and Math. Principal Rita Teague is here with more information.
Good evening. I'm going to let my ladies speak for themselves.
Hi, my name is Layla Klingman, and we were invited to attend the Women of Color STEM Conference pre-college program. It was held on Saturday, October 25th from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the Detroit Marriott. We received this invitation from that set program that is partnership with Southfield Public Schools. Because we are only 8th graders, this was a high school event, so Ms. Teague had to ask for a special permission for us to attend this event.
Hi, my name is Madison Elkins. We were the only middle school students in attendance, and we won first place in the engineering contest.
Wow.
The point in the contest was to see if we could build a structure that could hold a wooden airplane above it. We learned in our STEM classes that the foundation has to be solid enough and wide enough to support the height. We also learned that the balance is important. We practice building structures according to specific requirements in both our 6th and 7th grade classes.
Hi, I'm Rashina Davis, and the second contest was in math. We won first place against the high school again. The format of the math part was like a geometry game. We had to solve equations and geometry problems. We did well because we are all enrolled in advanced math classes. 4 of us are in algebra and 2 are in geometry.
Hi, I'm Christina Donaldson. We also were able to participate in the NECRIS event that include many Fortune 500 companies. The companies present represented engineering and medical fields, and the Navy and Army were also recruited.
My name is Diana Winier. I'm very glad that we were able to participate in the STEM conference for women. Not only we had tons of fun learning about engineering and technology, but we realized that there are so many possible jobs that we can have in the science and technology field. I was glad that not only my mom could take me and the rest of us, but it was free. Anyway, if we had the chance to participate, I'm pretty sure we'd do this again because we had tons of fun learning about everything. Are there any questions for us?
Awesome job.
I was very, very proud of them. Unfortunately, the teacher that took them, Mrs. Austin, couldn't attend this evening. She has a family event. But she was texting me the whole time. We won first place. What? Against high schoolers? And then we won another first place.
want to thank the board for supporting our STEM program and supporting the extra classes that they take and the advanced classes that they take. It's very heartening to see what they learn in the classroom take to the public and apply it better than high schoolers, and that's even better.
Well, young ladies, I'd like to say that when I went to school, girls didn't do things like that. I am so very, very proud of you all.
Are your parents here with you? Your parents here?
And your parents and you like math? Wonderful. Well, the University High School Academy has a BASF donation of $7,000. George Chapp and me and Marcia Williams are here with more information. I know George Chapp is here.
Good evening, members of the Board of Education, Superintendent, Cabinet, and Community. In September of 2014, one of our founding partners of our STEM advisory on our Partnerships Council, BASF, apprised the district of the potential for grant funds to help enhance, improve, or in some cases get off the ground some of our related STEM and STEAM programs. I'm happy to report, and Ms. Dean is going to talk in a moment of particulars, but very happy to report that BASF has granted University High School Academy an amount of $7,000 to get off the ground their first official STEM STEAM lab.
We're very excited about the donation. I have to say it was probably the easiest $7,000 we've ever received. I received a text message from Mrs. Lightsey asking about STEM needs, and then was asked to put together a list of items, and we put together the list, and they gave us the entire amount of money to cover everything. So we're purchasing controllers and chassis, motors for our robotics courses, so our students will have more robots. And then we're also expanding our STEM classes for our 8th graders. So we're purchasing some additional laptops and Legos kits because they use that as a part of their mandatory STEM class. So we're really excited. We're cleaning an area out because we're putting together a lab so that in our science classrooms we won't have to put away the experiments that the students are working on, and we'll be able to leave the mechanical pieces there for those robotics and STEM courses. So we're really excited and very appreciative. We received a check last week, and our STEAM department chair brought down the PO this morning. So we're really excited. Thank you so much for your assistance, Ms. Lightsey, for getting this fund.
Now we come to the Student Board Representative, Ms. Shana Hodge of Southfield Regional Academic Campus.
Good evening, board members.
Good evening.
Superintendent Dr. Linda Wood, Central Office staff and administrators, Southfield School staff, parents, students, and guests. My name is Shana Hodge, and I am your student board member from Southfield Regional Academic Campus. For the week of October 20th through the 24th, the Leadership Council of Southfield Regional Academic Campus hosted our first Spirit Week. Each day focused on a different theme, with Friday ending on College Shirt Day. On October 23rd, Mr. Solomon and the STEM Club attended the 1080 field trip at Martin Luther King High School. Students were engaged in robotics, computer coding experiences, and discussion with engineers. On October 24th, several students enjoyed a putt-putt golf activity sponsored by the STEM Club members to raise money for the NESB Fall Regional Conference. On October 29th, the Aspire Academy and 9th grade students attended a field trip to the Michigan Science Center. As of today, I am proud to report that 90% of our seniors at Southfield Regional have applied and been accepted to 3 or more colleges. Students have been accepted, we have been busy during the month of November visiting different college campuses. On November 7th, our campus tour at Schoolcraft College focused on the following careers: recording engineer, nursing and medical field, entrepreneurship, and culinary. On November 10th, we visited Henry Ford College, and this Friday we will visit Eastern Michigan University. On November 7th, Ms. Sonia Johnson, Mr. Constant, and Mr. Robinson took Aspire Academy and 9th grade students on a field trip to Henry Ford Museum. On Thursday, November 13th, Mr. Solomon, Mr. Sonia Johnson, and 11 STEM Club members will be attending the Fall Regional Conference for the National Society of Black Engineers in Cincinnati, Ohio. STEM Club members will be participating at math competitions and leadership conferences. As you can see, we have been busy getting our students on a straight and narrow path to success beyond high school. Have a good evening, and thank you for your time.
I'm announcing tonight that Brianna Richardson, the student representative from Southfield Lathrop, is absent today. She is attending a DECA conference on behalf of the Southfield Public Schools. In her place, we have Janali Avelanosa here with the school report from Southfield Lathrop.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Good evening.
My name is Janali Avelanosa, and I'm here to speak on behalf of your Southfield Lathrop Chargers. Today, I'm filling in for Brianna Richardson, who is currently away at a leadership conference with our organization, DECA. First of all, I would like to wish a happy Veterans Day to board member Rance Williams and all of our military personnel in the Southfield Public School District. The Southfield Lathrop High School Arts and Communication Academy received more than $250,000 in grant money from the City of Southfield and the Comcast yesterday. The money is to be used for television equipment that will replace the school's 15-year-old equipment. Basketball tryouts will take place for boys and girls this week and next week. On November 6th, we held our college fair with over 30 colleges in attendance. Parents and students of all grade levels came to receive valuable information on not only colleges, but scholarships and financial aid. There was an equal amount of in-state and out-of-state schools. On the same night, the choir department held the annual choir concert, and they sold 120 tickets. This Saturday, November 15th, we are having our health fair in the gym from 11 to 2 p.m. There will be 17 vendors, dental representatives, flu shots, podiatrists, evaluations, Zumba presentations, and tennis demonstrations. Our organizations, DECA, Student Congress, and Medical Academy, will be volunteering at this event. Be sure to come out. Everyone is welcome. National Honor Society accepted 26 new members this past week. This will hold an induction ceremony on November 19th to officially welcome all new NHS members to their family. Thank you all for your time and have a wonderful night.
Miss Aries Rutledge, University High School Academy.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I'm Aries Rutledge, and I'll be sharing the latest news at the U. October 28, 2014, UHSA held its annual Pink Out, sponsored by the Z Club. In all, we raised $577 and successfully donated it to American Cancer Society. That same day, the whole school came together to surprise and honor Dean Williams in celebration of National Principal Appreciation Month. November 1st marked the deadline for early action college admissions, and I'm proud to say that the entire class of 2015 have all successfully applied to one or more institutions and are now awaiting responses from their top school choices. During the first week of November, the first edition of the Soaring Eagle newspaper was published. Some extra copies are available at the front desk. November 6th, UHSA and UPrep welcomed 7th and 8th grade students and families to the open house for the 2015-2016 school year. November 8th, UHSA held its school lock-in, which consists of a night of games, swimming, basketball, dancing, food, and more. This year, UHSA implemented a new student-led mentorship program in which upperclassmen advise underclassmen once a month in order to knock off bad habits. During the first session, student leaders facilitated the underclassmen and taught them the importance of being responsible and proactive. The second session will take place next week and will focus on students beginning with the end in mind and defining their missions and goals in life. December 5th, UHSA's annual leadership night will take place. This night is a night of fun sponsored by Student Council and promotes school involvement and leadership. University students are taking their skills far beyond the classroom. The newly formed debate team is practicing and will be competing against other schools in the region within the next few months. The robotics team participated in a competition last Saturday and will participate again on Thursday. 23 NESB students will travel to Cincinnati and compete amongst other middle school students. Good luck to both the robotics team and NESB. Thanks for listening to the latest news at the U, and remember, we're nurturing tomorrow's leaders today. Go Eagles.
And now Ms. Lauren Williams, Southfield High School.
Good evening. How are you? Okay, my name is Lauren Williams. I'm a senior at Southfield High School. I'm a member in the marching band and the newspaper. I'm honored to be have this position and able to speak to you tonight. And here's the Blue Jay report. On October 16th, Southfield hosted its annual college and career fair between first and third hour. Over 50 guests were in attendance representing colleges from several states, armed forces, and the workforce. On October 9th marks the conclusion of our first card marking. The Blue Jays had 334 students on honor roll. 195 of these honor students enjoyed an ice cream social on October 30th in the Commons 6th and 7th hour. Approximately 100 parents filled the Commons at Southfield High School on Monday, September 15th for our first PTSA meeting. The second PTSA meeting was held November 3rd to a crowd of 25 parents and students. On November 17th, Southfield will host an open house for 8th grade parents, which will include a light dinner and a tour of our building. Recording artist Kim visited our school on October 28th to film for a feature on BET. Kim is a former student at Southfield High School. Southfield High School concluded homecoming week in early October. There were many activities. A tour was given to the class of 1984. Alumni cheerleaders performed at the homecoming football game, and over 1,000 students came to the homecoming dance. Also, the Blue Jay football team has a resounding win over Rochester High School, 38-3. It was a very spirited and celebrated homecoming week. The Blue Jay Cafe is hosting a pre-Thanksgiving luncheon on Tuesday, November 25th
and invited guests are principals, assistant principals, police chief, fire chief, and firefighters at the station next to Southfield High School. On October 28th, Scholars Plus inducted 15 new members. National Honor Society, Principals Council, Scholars Plus, and SFC members will read to K-4 students at MacArthur, Adlai, Bernie, Thompson, Berkeley, and McIntyre on November 18th. Since our last Southfield Blue Jay marching band has enjoyed, since our last meeting, the Southfield Blue Jay marching band has enjoyed much success. The band went to Cleveland, Ohio to compete at Shaw High School, where the band showed out and received outstanding rating of first place. The band just concluded their middle school tours, visiting the middle schools throughout the district. The band also received a $100 donation from the class of 1964 alumni. The donation will be used to buy hats for our winter event. The Southfield High School football team once again OAA white champions. The Blue Jays won a share of the league championship with a 22-16 win over Oak Park. This marks the first time in our school history, that the Blue Jays are back-to-back with Football League champions. The Blue Jays also beat Oak Park on Friday, November 7th, to win its first district title since 2011. The Blue Jays will play Wyandotte Roosevelt in the regional finals this Friday at 7 o'clock. The Lady J volleyball team has also concluded their season on November 3rd. Great season, Lady Jays. Southfield Student Congress donated approximately $3,500 worth of dirt to the Southfield High School baseball team. The team will finally have a college skate style dirt infield at Ted Simmons Field. Thank you to the Student Congress. I would like to thank you again for allowing me to report the Blue Jays report.
Thank you very much. Now that we go for the report of the superintendent.
How about that? You know, I'm sitting here listening to our young people present, and I just have to tell you, I'm just so proud of you, proud of this district, proud of our parents, and proud of our teachers, and most importantly, proud of the board for your support. But this is the season of Thanksgiving, and one of the things that as I started this week, it just resonated that I'm so thankful and proud of our veterans for their courage and bravery in so many ways in which they have exhibited that over the years. And today our children were especially reminded of all of our veterans who served our country to keep us safe, and I'm grateful for that. The next thing I wanted to just highlight is that as you look around this boardroom, it is full of art now. Currently, we have artwork, prints, masks, and walking sticks from Southfield High and Levy Middle School. Just beautiful work. The prints are beautiful, and the masks are all associated with All Saints and Souls Day that is practiced in Mexico, which typically occurs in November the 1st and 2nd each year. I also want to highlight those beautiful walking sticks that are from Levy, and the walking sticks have been used for centuries by Native American Indian tribes to designate who has the right to speak. The walking stick was believed to be sacred, so if a person felt they could not honor the talking stick, with their words, they were to refrain from speaking. So they would not dishonor the talking stick. Or dishonor themselves. So when they were in control later of their words, the talking stick would then be given to them. I want a talking stick. There are lessons from our children every day, and I think I would love to take that with me to a few places. So thank you all our children for this beautiful lesson and the beautiful art. I also wanted to share that I really am thankful because I spent Friday and Saturday with several of our board members at the Michigan Association for School Board Conference in Grand Rapids. It was a tremendous conference with a lot of learning, just a lot of learning, good sessions. And I am able to say with pride that we have a tremendous Board of Education, and we continue to celebrate that we're ahead of the curve. And so I know that they will also share more about the conference in their comments, but I wanted to just say, again, say how thankful I am. I have something else to be thankful for, and that occurred yesterday. On Monday? No, not yesterday. What is, oh, yes. I think it's fine. But yesterday, the Southfield City Council approved the appropriation of $298,000 to Southfield Public Schools to update our video studio at Southfield Lathrop and the cameras, et cetera, here at the JW boardroom. This is something to celebrate. I'm thrilled about it, and I know that we all are here. The City of Southfield receives public education and government funds as a part of the franchise agreement with cable companies that serve Southfield. And so I want to publicly thank the City of Southfield for the financial support and continued commitment to Southfield Public Schools. And I also, as I reflected on yesterday, I just was warmed because this was such an exciting day and moment for our students to witness the formal work of the City Council, but the demonstrated partnership that's it is very much such an important part with Southfield Public Schools and the city, and to know that their voice was heard. So I want to just, again, thank everyone for all of that. Now, we have also had democracy in action here in our district, and I'd like to invite Mrs. Diana Kiegler and Patricia Garrett, if she is here, from the National Congress of Black Women to the podium. These ladies and their organization worked with our children to conduct a mock election with our students, and they would like to update our community and the board regarding the results.
Thank you, Dr. Wood, to the board and staff and attendees. Thank you so much for the opportunity to talk about this. I'm here with Chairperson Patricia Garrett, and we are from the National Congress of Black Women. Just a brief moment of history. Shirley Chisholm, who was the first African-American woman to run for president, and Dr. C. Dolores Tucker, who was the first African-American in the state of Pennsylvania legislature, was two of our founders of the national organization. We have been doing the national mock election since 2008. This year, we did 1,500 students totally in Oakland County. The Southfield School District had 792 of those 1,500 participants. Those schools were Bernie, MacArthur, and Thompson. New this year also, a lot of the students voted electronically. So we hope when we come back in 2016 for the presidential that the students will all be able to vote electronically. But the students, the teachers, parents, everyone was so engaged. And I want to thank you all so much for recognizing the importance of civic responsibility in our community.
I just want to thank Southfield School Board for allowing us to service your children. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. That civic responsibility starts early, so we thank you again. The next item on my agenda is I'd like to invite Ms. Jacqueline Robinson to the podium or wherever you'd like to start your presentation. But she's here to share some marketing updates, and she will share that with us now.
Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. We are having a health fair, as you heard just a little bit ago. And how many of you received this advisory outside on the table? Okay, just a few. So I'll tell you what we're doing. This is our third annual health fair, and every year just gets bigger and better. We started the health fair because this is a time of year where people in our community fall prey to flus and viruses and other ailments. And we just wanted to encourage people to take, ownership of their health and to practice health smart, practices that will help them to remain healthy throughout the flu season and beyond. So this year, some of the new highlights that we have BMI assessments and weight loss. Are you familiar with the BMI assessment? How many of you can't wait to get one?
Yeah, right.
Okay. We have blood pressure screening, which is new this year. A returning chiropractic adjustment, injury prevention, which is new. Our partners are Providence Hospital, Blue Cross. I think we have Oakland Community Health Department. So we have a wide range of businesses, nonprofits, and medical personnel. We have Zumba this year, smoking cessation, herb samples from the Southfield Chargers Garden, tennis demonstrations and lessons, and juicy juice samples, just to name a few. You can even get massages and stress reduction. Now, I have a secret. Every year when we do these fairs, we have massages, and I never get one. So last year at the health fair, I snuck and I got a massage. And at that moment, the superintendent started calling me. All right. So that's the health fair. Again, the schools are competing for a prize. We're giving the schools, the top 3 that bring the most participants will get a Kindle Fire. But our guests will get a Kindle Fire. Our vendors bring prizes for us to distribute. The prizes are worth $25 or more. We have some prizes that are worth probably about $200, and we have a lot of them. So we raffle them off on a regular basis. So come out for that, and you're going to have a great time. It's free, totally free, and the only thing you'll need, we're doing flu shots. So if you want a flu shot, you'll need to bring your insurance card. So that's the fair. Now, I love PR because I always have fun stuff to announce. So, Pistons Night is back. How many participated in Pistons Night last year? Okay, so it's back. My helpers, are you ready? You thought I forgot about it, didn't you? Okay, throw that out. So once again, we have a partnership with the Pistons, and Pistons Night is December 6th at the Palace. The Pistons are taking on the Philadelphia 76ers on Saturday, and it's at 7:30. And compliments of the Pistons organization, every student, teacher, and administrator will get a free ticket to go to the Pistons game. Isn't that awesome? Woo! And of course, where there are students, there are parents. So the parents can come for a discounted rate of $10. And all attendees who come to the game are invited after the game to go down on the court and have a post-game shot. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And so the vouchers will be in the school Monday or Tuesday of next week, so look for them. All the information you need is on the back of the voucher, and we're looking forward to a wonderful time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Robinson. And I'd like to just update the community and share with our board that everything that we provide in terms of information to you has an alignment to our strategic planning, just to make sure that we're always on point. And this presentation with Jackie is aligned to marketing, which is goal number 5, and also the technology update was aligned to goal number 3. And I'm going to turn and conclude my report and turn it over to Ms. Trump.
Good evening. Good evening. Tonight, my report ties to strategic plan goal number 7, resource allocation, as usual. What I want to speak to you tonight about was the need for us to hire another skilled trades person. Over the last few years, as you all know, we've been cutting and trying to hold our costs down, but what we've done is we've had to limp along with 3 skilled trades. That would be our heating, ventilation, air conditioning person. We have an electrician, and we have a plumber. Now, what we did is we checked around all the districts in the neighboring districts, and they're running for a district our size, they have between 7 and 14 skilled trades. We have 3. So what's happening is as we run around and put out fires and repair things that are going wrong, the regular maintenance, the scheduled maintenance is not being done, and so we have quite a backlog of that. So we're at a critical point where if we keep going forward the way we are, it will cost us more money to repair things. So we just wanted to come to you tonight and express the need to hire an additional, what we'd like to do is get a HVAC/electrician so that they can cover more than one area. Any questions?
Does Oakland Schools have like a company they contract with so you can get discounted rate or what have you, like consortium they do business with?
I don't think that anyone has done skilled trades in that way. You know, we have for custodial and bus and things like that, but the skilled trades people, because you have to bring them in, and normally they would be in the MESPA union, and then we also pay them to sign over their license to us so that they don't practice their trade, as an electrician or plumber outside of the school district. So it has worked really well for us. Our skilled trades people, they're worth every penny that they're paid. The amount of work that we get out of them, just the fact that we have had 3 over the last few years and done as well as we have here in this district. So, thank you. Thank you. And the rest of my reports in the consent agenda. Thank you.
Good evening. The report for Human Resources is contained within the consent agenda and will also be addressed in the closed session.
Good evening. My name is Paula Lightsey, and I just have a few things I want to share before introducing the principal of Stevenson. Just a few aha moments from our teachers. As you know, we spent $500,000 on materials, and the teachers are discovering and opening doors of conversation about how they're using the materials. And often it's hard to expose your level of need, but the new materials have helped them expose their level of need because they want to know, how do I use it? How do I incorporate the materials? So they're using assessment to inform instruction. They're using it to build mini lessons. This is all tied into our goal 2, which is instruction. Teachers are reminded of what to do with data from assessment. They're formulating flexible groups. They realize that, kids don't have to stay in the same group all of it for the entire year. Many of us, when we were in school, you were in the Blue Jays and just those little bird groups, and you stayed in that group for the whole year. And teachers are learning that, no, you assess and you readdress. And it's the new materials that are encouraging them to do some of those things. Another aha we have experienced with teachers this year is the understanding that the resources are used to help differentiate instruction. And also that the materials, there are level readers that are with some of the reading materials, and the materials are written for different levels but the same content. So you're not isolating students from learning groups. They're reading the level readers, then they can come together as a group and still understand the same content. And so it's been money well spent. At this time, I'd like to introduce Sandra LaPeria and Edwina Hill.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Ladies, I'm going to just interject just a moment. They are coming to us this afternoon, or this evening rather, because it is a required report from the Michigan Department of Education requires that they report on the status of Stevenson Elementary. So I just wanted to give that little input. Thank you.
And yes, we're required to report to the Board of Ed and the community
on a quarterly basis in terms of the progress of Stevenson and how we're addressing the gap. Stevenson was identified as a focus school, which means that their highest achieving students, the gap between their highest achieving students and their lowest achieving students is too big. So Sandy is going to talk about what they're doing at the school level to address the gap and close the gap.
Thank you for allowing me to come and share this information with you tonight. I titled this School-Wide Interventions because, as Ms. Hill mentioned, we are working very hard to do exactly what Ms. Lacey just said in her introduction. We're doing a lot of focusing on data and the skill gaps that our students in our bottom 30% may have. The MAP test has been very instrumental in giving us that information as well as classroom assessments. So let me get started by talking that through with you. So the achievement gap that we're looking at looks at your bottom 30% of students. Those are the students that academically are at the bottom of the class compared to the students at the top. And so data that we use to identify those students is the MEP scores. Those are our 4th and 5th graders this year because our 5th graders had moved down to middle school, the kids that took the test last year. So we're looking at the students that are now in 4th and 5th grade, and we were able to use their MEP scores from last fall, as well as the MAP scores from all last year and this fall, 2014. And the DRA is the developmental reading assessment that teachers in the elementary levels use to identify the reading level, and that's what gives us real good information about where they are with comprehension, as well as fluency and word identification and letter sounds, things like that. So that goes all the way down to kindergarten. We're able to use the DRA. So we use all of these scores and triangulated data to really look at where the skill gaps are and what students we need to target for small group intervention. So we are doing a very focused small group instruction model. We look at a minimum of 30 minutes 3 times a week with each group. And that might be a different group, just like Ms. Lightsey mentioned. As you know, some students might struggle in math and be very strong in reading and language arts. It's that right brain, left brain thing. So you might not necessarily have the same students in your small groups for math and English language arts or reading. The students are given instruction on a specific skill gap. Now these small groups are generally 6 to 8 students. And the teacher is able to spend time with them on a very specific skill gap. An example might be place value and rounding whole numbers. It might be, in the lower grades, it might be something like 2-digit addition with carrying. You know, just something real specific that the math test actually gives us great information that those are students who, for some reason, just kind of need a little bit more strengthening on that concept. Now, I say in here that this happens for approximately 2 weeks on that skill gap. Sometimes they get to a point with their instruction where learning that the students are ready to take the post-test and they're ready to move on. Sometimes that 2 weeks extends to 3 weeks before the teacher feels that the students are ready and are proficient in that concept. So the teachers, you know, of course, have that flexibility and are using their professional judgment as to when those students have gotten the concept and are ready to move on. So what we have done is created a intervention sheet where we are documenting their pre-test and post-test data. Prior to the instructional time, they take a little pre-test, and we record that information and how they did, and then we record the post-test. So we're seeing some really great growth. And anytime you want to come by and see that information, I have some really good data to show you. Now, this has been an effort where all hands on deck.
All the teachers in the school are helping to deliver these interventions and support. Our special education resource teachers are using the new Wonders ELA resource that Ms. Lightsey mentioned. And there are some really good intervention lessons and readers and books within that resource that supplements the classroom instruction. The Title I teacher and literacy coach are also working with the classroom teachers and basically providing similar intervention lessons on similar concepts. So they're sharing their lesson plans and working together in a team approach to deliver those intervention lessons. And then our special teachers, art, music, and gym, are also working and meeting with the classroom teachers to deliver cross-curricular connections. For example, a Native American unit, our art teacher made dream catchers and several pieces of artwork to kind of reinforce some of the things that they were learning with their nonfiction reading and their expository text. From the district level, I cannot say enough about the help and support that we have gotten from our district support. I did not put on here Alma Dean and George Chapp. They're the up above, behind the scenes people that I go to constantly and text and email questions. And they are certainly delivering that help and instruction as well. I've got Polly Szynski. She's been coming to pretty much every staff meeting and collaborative PD meeting on our second and fourth Monday. She's been helping the teachers with that math data interpretation. She's showing them reports that they can use to drive their instruction, and there's a really nice tool within the map called Skills Checklist, and she's been teaching the teachers how to use those even as little quick snapshots and formative assessments as well. Tisha Hill has been coming and sitting down in our grade level planning meetings and working with the teachers to help them with their math instruction and intervention groups. She's been I just can't say enough about everything that she's offered. She's coming and helping the teachers within their classrooms with some of their small groups, and she's taking some of the small groups. She's also helping them examine the data to see if they're maybe missing some little pieces, and why aren't they getting this concept? What else can I do? And she's just giving us invaluable advice. And Angela Taylor Gloucester is our ELA, English Language Arts support. She's come in and given us more PD with our new Wonders resource, and as well as given us some ideas in instruction and intervention. And then I call her Carrie G because I probably will not pronounce her last name correctly, but she is our Oakland Schools tech, and she's been coming in. She taught me how to do Google Docs. She taught the whole staff how to do Google Docs. She's been doing a lot with how to integrate that new technology in our iPads and our Apple TV and everything that the district has provided for us. She's been showing us how to use that new technology. So we have gotten all hands on deck, and I cannot emphasize enough how much the district has helped us with getting going with these interventions. We've also been doing quite a bit with Oakland Schools. Right now, the administrators are learning more about instructional rounds with the Oakland Schools professional development. And Stevenson hosted an instructional round in the last spring. We had a problem of practice that we wanted to learn more about in math. We wanted to know some things that we could do to improve our math instruction. So a math consultant named Maurice Merrigan from Oakland Schools, as well as the professional development consultant, Marty Chafee, have been coming out to Stevenson bi-weekly and sitting down with the teachers in grade level planning and talking with them about ways to improve their math instruction. But it's really something that we have found that could be used in every subject. We call it collaborative inquiry. That's the process that we're going through. What we're really doing is examining that data, looking at our instruction, and seeing how we can do it better. And what we're really focusing on is those higher level questions in our math discussion, and how can we get the kids to be able to express how they're solving a math problem and really deepen their thinking. So it's not just, Mr. Lewis, what is the answer to this question? And you give me the first answer that you can think of, and then we move on. It's really, well, how did you get that? And can someone else explain his thinking a little bit further? And turn to your partner and talk about how did you come up with this answer? And so that everyone in the class is engaged. It's not just focusing on one answer, but really deepening your thought process of how that came about. And what we're finding is that inquiry and that questioning, again, you can really use in every subject. So it's really helped with the teachers in thinking about their questioning as part of their instruction. So we are meeting at a minimum bi-weekly to plan intervention lessons. The teachers work together in a very collaborative way. I have a very great team of teachers at Stevenson, and they're working together to plan these intervention lessons. The pre-test and post-test data is emailed to me once that short, brief skill lesson is completed. And then we just finished our first quarterly data meeting on November 4th on our professional development day, where I sat down with each grade level and we really looked at their first round of math testing data, their report card data, their pre-test and post-test from their intervention lessons. Keisha sat down with some of the groups, Polly sat down with some of the groups, and we just kind of circulated around. And we just had some great conversations about what we're seeing in the growth with our students. So the teachers have said they feel that the silver lining to all of this process is it has helped them become very focused, very deliberate, and much more intentional. Students in every grade have data binders. They're reviewing the test data with their teachers and setting their goals. They write out a plan. Parents are informed with weekly classroom newsletters. All classes do this, whether it's electronic or they go home in their homework folders. I want to say all of my teachers are using Remind 101, and then we also have the grades posted in Parent Link and MyStar, so Parent Connection website. So we are in the first phase, and this is my first quarterly report to the school board this evening. So I am very optimistic. I think that the teachers are working exceptionally hard to really focus on the students with needs and specific skills, as well as continuing on with the instruction with their students on level and above grade level, of course. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, I have a question. I'm sorry. The students you say now that were in the lower range of the gap, they're now your 4th and 5th graders? And that means last year, the ones who were low were 3rd and 4th grade, correct?
No, what we did is, for that group, we looked at 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade MEP scores from fall of 2013. Well, the 3rd grade are now 4th graders, the 4th graders are now 5th graders, and then the 5th graders have moved on in middle school. So for just that piece of data, we only had 4th and 5th grade to look at. You know what I mean? Because of the MEP testing scores. So that was one snapshot of data, but we're only able to use that for our current 4th and 5th graders because they're the only ones who took the MEP test last year.
I'm going to interject just a little bit there, because the reason she focused on 3rd and 4th is because the reason she was identified, or Stevenson, as a focus school was based simply on the MEP test. Whereas we give math for grades 1 through 11, but and so that's all that she has to see. Where is the state saying we have this issue? And that's at 4th and 5th grade because we roll up the data. I hope that helps a little bit, maybe. No.
Okay. Yeah, it does a little. But now, were these the majority of the students in 3rd and 4th grade?
No, this is the bottom 30% of that population, that number. So, for example, say I have 60 kids in the 2 sections of 4th grade. So 30% of that 60 would be your 18 students.
Okay. Now, so were these teachers new teachers or seasoned teachers?
These are all seasoned teachers.
And that information that Ms. Zelinsky provide, this testing that she was talking about, that information is given to the teachers around December, January. At what point do you see this information?
When do we get the meat scores back?
Actually, we didn't get the meat scores until later in the spring, I think.
I think it's May or June, actually.
It came late, right. So the exam was given in the fall, and then there's several months before the actual results are reported back to the building so that they can start to analyze that data. And so as a result, and Ms. Stevenson, you want to add a little bit more?
I just was coming up because
Oh, okay.
I knew we were getting more into data, so I thought.
Absolutely.
So the meat scores, when we were meat tested in the fall, we generally would start seeing preliminary meat results in March and April with just a kind of a creeping out of some of that information. And then it really, schools can preview some of that in May and June. But again, when we've talked, we can't talk to the board or the public about those because those results are all embargoed at that point. So that was last year's test. This year, we didn't do meat testing in the fall, the whole state didn't. So the spring assessment will occur start April 13th through June 5th. So we don't know at this point when the next assessment that the state uses for that bottom 30% focus school, when we will have the results from that. We could have it July, we could have it in August. The state has not told us how quickly we will get those results back this year.
But okay, if you receive it that late, then it's too late to have those students who are failing.
It is very
It's too late to have an intervention with the parents and the students. So then you're going to go another year as a focus school.
Because the MEAP is always, or the state assessment is always a summative assessment, and it's a rolling year. So the grade, as the students roll up, you can look at, sometimes it's referred to as it's an autopsy of learning. And so it is. So you have to take the information you get from that and then both try to close some gaps for those students who are behind, but also think about and how you want to focus the following year's instruction to prevent or try to prevent those gaps from occurring again. Why we use the map is because it gives us 3 measures in one school year, and it's much more immediate data to get back about our students, and so we can act on it much more quickly. The two can be integrated, it's just they're different lenses on learning.
But if those kids fail the test in math, wouldn't they also be behind in their regular math assignment? And at what point would you have a parent-teachers conference to let them know that these students are not performing grade level? You know, I'm speaking of some proactive measures instead of reactive.
Well, I'll interject also. When we first initially got our results from the MEAP assessment, Stevenson really, as an aggregate of total, did very well. The issue is that gap. And what happened, there are students that really started to accelerate, meaning they were doing even better. But that small group at the bottom is what pulled down and caused them to be identified as a focus school, meaning there was too large of a gap, even though there are many kids at Stevenson that are doing very well. And if I were to identify the district, Stevenson really has done very well, and we can review those MEAP scores again. The issue is that gap, and also you're identifying in your questions problems that we all here in the state of Michigan are experiencing as a result of being held accountable to an assessment that's out of alignment. Meaning that we're giving, you hit it on the nail head, we're giving an assessment in September and October, we don't get the results until the end of the year. It cannot be used as an intervention for improving the children because the 5th graders are now gone. And so we have a whole year of not knowing what's going on with the results of that assessment and each individual child. So we didn't find out who these children were until the end of the year. Then what we had to do was now start to plan and provide interventions. And again, there's no MEP test. So we're not even sure how we're going to be held accountable. But your questions are very on point and very good, and questions that many people also ask. But at the same time, we're kind of held in a little sour pickle a little bit, because we're trying to deal with all these different forces and accountability and making a difference for our kids. And I will say that Sandy is doing some great work trying to make a difference and build the proficiency of the children, the instructional rounds. And I will say this publicly, that teachers are very, very important for the achievement in a classroom. But when you have a building principal that can walk that walk and understands and is pushing the accountability, so to speak, pushing the alignment, that's critical. And we have a team that is helping Stevenson with some good interventions. And so what we're anchored in right now, we know what the MEP scores were, but we're working extremely hard with the math results and skill identification and interventions that are aligned to those skills that our children are demonstrating weaknesses in. Also, our teachers are using good resources, and we've spent time with our staff, and Sandy has also, helping them to not just rely on the math. It's about the good teaching practices, the summative and formative assessments that you walk along the way. And one of the things that was identified from the instructional work back in the spring, before the MEP assessment results came out, was there's some things we could improve, because they also saw some areas and instructional gaps that they wanted to work on from those instructional rounds. So it's a very complex thing, and I will also share that. Well, I won't share that.
And I just wanted to add on to what Dr. Wood is saying. You know, in terms of the assessment that the state used, which was the MEP, we know who those bottom 30 students are, and we know what the weaknesses are. And so we identified the students, we know what the weaknesses are or where the students failed in those particular skills, and we married that with the math test. So, and we're providing interventions to build up those skills. So to address your question earlier, that's how, you know, this whole system is working.
Right. And I want to end with one additional comment. We are supporting those students who have been identified as the bottom 30. But I have to also say, the MEP test, whatever it shall be, is going to look completely different than it did when it was administered a year or so later. And so we have to continue to prepare and work with all kids for exceptional instruction and exceptional accountability in terms of pushing them to exert the effort needed to help support the achievement that we wish to be demonstrated.
I have a question. It was stated that there was pre-test data and post-test data gathered. And my question is, when the post-test data was gathered, did you discover any significant growth?
Oh, for sure. Like I said, anytime you wanted to come by, we saw some amazing growth. And at that point, you know, the teachers make a decision. You know, if it's everyone in that group, or if some students are just ready to move on, and just a couple more students still need a little bit more help before they're ready to move on, then that is the point that they're looking at. I wanted to say that Stevenson, in all areas except science, we reached the annual measurable objectives on our MEP scores from the state. So that means where the state told you, okay, next year, this is your proficiency level, this is where it should be. We met or exceeded those levels, but the conundrum it then placed us into is then we had a gap. The bottom 30% students grew also, and they're still growing. but it just might not be quite at the same rate as our top academic students. So our real plan is to continue to work with them and help them show growth academically. So I don't want to say they're not moving along, the teachers aren't supporting them, and they're not growing academically. But we are certainly not in any way leaving them behind.
Okay. Another question, if I'm not mistaken, special ed students are required to take standardized tests.
That's correct.
So is there any special modifications or accommodations that is being implemented to bring them up to pace?
Well, if they are special education, they do receive accommodations depending on their individual education plan, the IEP. So those would be the students that are basically getting hit twice, because they're going to their resource teacher and their special education instruction time, and they're also in a small group intervention with their classroom teacher. So what we did is, if those students were part of that bottom 30%, they're getting a double dose of intervention instruction.
But they're taking the same test.
They do have to take the same test.
Which
And
is a challenge.
that's all I'm going to say about that. I'll go along with Dr. Wood about public comment, but if you have any further questions about that, I could fill in the gaps for you.
And we've had this discussion as a board and as a cabinet before, because anyone sitting in this room, from a basic math standpoint, you're going to always have that. You're going to have your top, you're going to have your bottom.
You're always going to have a bottom 30%, and we all know that everyone learns differently. I am not a strong math person. I'm an English language arts person. That's what my degree is in. So, we all know that from ourselves as learners. So, yeah, there's always, even a top achieving school, you're still going to have your bottom 30% students. But our focus is to help them continue to grow as well. Of course.
Yeah, we really do. We want to close the gap.
Right.
Mm-hmm. You have a question?
I do, and it may be more Debbie Trimp alley, which is, we saw a lot of professional development provided through all of this and different consulting and what have you to come in. By chance, when you're designated as such, are there dollars that follow that to help provide, to fill in that gap? Are there dollars provided?
Go ahead.
Okay, MDE provides a consultant to the district to help us come up with some instructional strategies to help build the capacity of our administrative team as well as the team at the building, teachers. And then in the second year, we are required to set aside Title I dollars at Stevenson's level. In the second year, that's if they're identified. In the third year, then the district and Stevenson are required to set aside 10% of our Title I funding.
And that's if they're identified, correct?
If they're identified.
And I want to bring the board back to a remembrance that Vandenberg also, a few years ago, was identified as a focus school, and the second year, they were not identified anymore. So we're working to ensure that we follow the same track here at Stevenson, so that there is not necessarily the set-aside, correct?
That's correct. And also, if you're not identified for a second year, then all of the requirements and the reporting requirements go away. And just with this presentation that Sandy provided to you all today, we have to also report it to the state via an electronic filing system. So that's one of the requirements of being a focus school.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, and we'll see you in a few months. And when and I will speak to all of you, but I'm sure the board would like to also see some numbers as relates to the achievement and how the growth is being aggregate and demonstrated.
I just want to say what has really changed in this area is we are so much more focused, deliberate, and intentional, and it's going to make a difference. And at this time, it concludes my report, and we are aligned to 4 goals, and that is professional development, technology, instruction, and supporting the building and classrooms. Thank you.
Thank you.
think it's amazing that Vandenberg came out after 1 year, because they are a school that has 27 different languages. And I'm sure many of their students were new students in the United States and spoke no English. So the fact that they came out in a year is a credit to the school, to the principal, and to their hard work with students. And it worked. They are no longer a focus school. But they might be next year, depending on who comes to the United States. So think about that.
As long as we have intervention in place, that shouldn't happen.
They should not be identified as a focus school. No, my opinion. Well, are you
That
finished?
concludes our report, yes.
Thank you very much, Dr. Wood. Now we go to the action items. Do I have someone to open?
No.
Beloved Head. Thank you, Madam Chair, or Madam President. This is the Busty Head Start and Policy Council Director Report and Finance Report for the month of November. In your email, there's nothing up there, ladies and gentlemen. In your email, you have this. I have this tendency to write on things, so I couldn't make copies of that. But you do have that, and of course, more to come. I'll just mention that for the purpose of the school board, when we met 2 weeks ago for that special meeting, I was thinking that when Ms. Hill spoke to us, that kind of filled the gap for that October Head Start report. So I heard today that that wasn't the case, so I will make sure that gets to us on the 18th for our next scheduled meeting, which will make us in compliance. And just for the good and the order, I believe these affect goals 1 through 4, 7 and 8. 239 students are currently enrolled at Busty. There are 107 on the waiting list and five that have dropped. Ms. Hill mentioned that this year we have had more 3-year-olds than in the past, and as a result, they're not eligible for Head Start blend classrooms, and thus 78 3-year-old slots we are not able to fill. The average daily attendance is 85.39%. The Child Adult Care Food Program meals served 3,459 breakfasts, 4,264 lunch, 3,622 snacks. There were new hires and some staff resignations. Those are contained in the personnel report, although Shannon McGrath, a new hire, I didn't see that on the personnel report, and I'm sure that'll get taken care of in the next few weeks on personnel reports that are becoming. Head Start Awareness was celebrated on Thursday, October 9th. The Levy Marching Band came to lead the parade. The Turtle and Doc McStuffins were also present. Our community partners, Forgotten Harvest, Project Kids Site, Share a Smile, the Lions Club, and Wayne State Extension's nutrition program all deserve credit for helping out this event. Oakland County Health Department completed vision and hearing screenings for 4-year-olds. The Dental R Us company completed dental screenings. Kids Project Site completed screenings for 3-year-olds. Elections were held for Policy Council. The newly elected and incumbent Policy Council chairperson is in the audience, Ms. Anita Paramore. Give us a wave. And several families participated in kindergarten crawl, visited the school districts visited the schools in the district and got great feedback. Ms. Mabel Jones from the Jones Connection provided governance training and was held at Michigan First Credit Union on Thursday and Friday, November 6th. Family service workers and Mrs. Hill participated in Measuring What Matters training, sponsored by the Indiana Region 5 Head Start, on focus on measuring family engagement outcomes. The finance report basically states that $1.3 million are allocated from the federal grant. The community in kind is $20,074. The district in kind, which is the building, any other kind of specialist, at the tune of $210,000. And then a very important piece of this pie is that parent in kind. And I'm proud to say that just in the 2 months that Busty has been operating, they have amassed over dozens of thousands of dollars. I had it here. But let's just say they are doing some great things, getting that parent in kind, because that's a large part of what they take seriously, what we take seriously too. So I just wanted to indicate that, and that $275,000 of the federal grant has been spent, and $31,000, there's that number, $31,000 in parent in kind just in the last 3 months. That's fantastic, and they deserve credit along with Ms. Hill. And with that, I believe that concludes the presentation from Bussy.
I would like to add a few things to that. It was a wonderful thing to come to the meeting and see so many parents there, including a few fathers who come and participate on a regular basis with the Policy Council. You know, the Policy Council is not really run by the school district. We oversee their funds, their grants from the federal government, and we provide in-kind services like bus transportation and a few others, the building. And so they are completely self-sufficient aside from that. And I would like to say something, you know, people don't notice when Ms. Smith, Mrs. Clark, beg your pardon.
Charles, that's okay, I sometimes
Charles.
forget too.
Charles. You may. Anyway, when she reads the breakfast and the lunches, you may notice that the number of breakfasts are considerably fewer than the number of lunches. The problem there is that the grant does not pay for breakfast when the student arrives late. And one of the things we do when we educate families is try to educate them to bringing their child on time, because that child still gets breakfast. We do not handle children with it. We do not punish children. And so consequently, the number of breakfasts listed is less than the number of lunches. They should be equal. If the students came on time, they would be. So if you know anybody who's in, you know, in this program, you might advise them of that. I think that's it. Well, action items. I'm going to have somebody to report, open report 5319, the personnel report.
I move we open 5319.
Do we have any comments, questions? No? Call for the vote.
Okay, Mr. Joy?
Yes.
Ms. Katz?
Yes?
Mr. Lewis?
Yes.
Mr. Poole?
Yes.
Ms. Smith? Yes. Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Myself? Yes. Unanimous.
Now we have information items that do not require board action. Report 5320, best practices incentives resolution, first reading. Could I have a volunteer to read that report?
Sure, I'll read it. Okay. For information, best practices, incentive school board resolution, first reading. Whereas Section 22F of the State School Aid Act provides $50 per pupil one-time grant to districts that satisfy at least 7 of 9 best practices criteria not later than June 1, 2015. MCL 388.1622F. Whereas the Board of Education of Southfield Public Schools desires to receive the $50 per pupil incentive payment. Whereas the Southfield Public Schools has satisfied at least 7 of 9 best practices criteria. Whereas eligibility for the incentive payment is contingent upon adopting a resolution that states the district has complied with the following 7 of 9 best practice criteria. Now, therefore, be it resolved as follows. The Board of Education of Southfield Public Schools certifies that the district has complied with the following requirements. Requirement A, the district is a designated policyholder for medical benefit plans pursuant to Section 22F1A. Requirement B, the district has obtained a competitive bid on non-instructional services pursuant to Section 22F 1D. Instructional Technology Services, Oakland Intermediate School District, Food Service, Chartwell, Transportation, Durham, Security Guard Services, Guardian Guard Service, Casco, Michigan, Landscape and Snow Removal, United Landscape, Latchkey, Champion, Substitute Teachers, PESG, Video, Cable Services, M1 Studios. Requirement C, the district accepts applications for enrollment by non-resident applicants under Section 105 or 105C, MCL 388.1705, pursuant to Section 22F 1C. A public school academy is considered to have met this requirement. Requirement D, the district offers online courses or blended learning opportunities to all eligible pupils and publish course syllabus pursuant to Section 22F 1D. Requirement E, the district provides a link on the district's homepage to the URL for the Michigan School Data Portal, which will contain the required dashboard indicators pursuant to Section 22F 1E. If certain data elements for our district are unavailable from state data collections, we agree to provide those data in the form and manner determined by MDE. Requirement G. The district's collective bargaining agreement do not include provisions contrary to prohibited subjects as outlined in Section 15.3 of 1947 PA 336, MCL 423.215. Requirement I. The district offers opportunities to complete 1 credit worth of non-English language learning experiences. The Board of Education of Southfield Public Schools authorizes and directs its secretary to file this resolution with the State Aid and School Finance Office of the Michigan Department of Education. All resolutions and parts of resolution insofar as they conflict with the provision of this resolution are hereby rescinded. Resolved this 11th day of November 2014. Ayes. Okay. Roll call. Okay.
Well, that was the first reading.
Yeah, this is the first
Thank
reading.
you very much.
Okay.
Ms.
You're welcome.
Report 5320.
I asked Dr. Wood if she wouldn't mind just mentioning that piece about, we said 7 out of 9, and how the 9th one just came out
Certainly.
2 days ago.
Well, absolutely. This actually, I think Ms. Trent is prepared to speak to that. And Debbie, do you?
Oh, we have to keep jumping hoops. If you remember, they started this as a categorical back in the 11-12 year, and at that time, they were taking pieces of our foundation allowance and putting it in categorical and then giving us different criteria we had to meet to get that money. At first, it was $100 a pupil. It was a sizable amount. And then over the last 2-3 years, we've gotten down to this year, they took a hit again, and we're down to $50 per pupil. The first year it was 4 out of 5. Then they changed it to 7 of 8. This year it was 7 of 9. And even when it stayed at 7 of 8, they changed the criteria. So, you know, every year we just wait to see what the criteria is, and then we jump through those hoops. But we haven't had any problem meeting them this year because we're already doing all of these best practices.
And also, again, the fact that a best practice, because the community has this document in front of them, the best practices are all that ugly O word of outsourcing. Like, there's no reward for, you know, getting it right within. It's all about, we'll give you some extra credit if you can not invest in your community and invest in some shadow company. Sometimes they feel like shadow companies, but our partners happen to be great companies, so I'm thankful for that. But I just want the community to know it's not Southfield Board of Education that's loving contractors. It's these requirements from on high, so it never needs to be glazed over.
It's encouraged that we do these kinds of things.
Thank you. Report 5321, the purchasing report. Report 5322, gifts to the board. Could I have a volunteer to read the rest of the gifts to the board? Trustee? Mr. Poole, would you read it?
Sure, absolutely. Volume 53, Report 22, Southfield Board of Education, regular board meeting, November 11, 2014. For information, gifts to the board. The following donations were provided to Southfield Public Schools. 1, Southfield High School received a check in the amount of $1,130 and an alumni banner from the alumni class of 1984 in recognition of the outstanding student achievement that alumni observed during a recent tour of the building. The funds will be used to support student activities. 2, McIntyre Elementary School received a check from the Greater Detroit chapter of Hadass for $2,600. The funds will be used to purchase books for the school's library. 3, BASF Corporation donated $7,000 to support the creation of a science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics STEAM laboratory for the University High School Academy.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Poole. And now we go on to public participation. I have no cards. We have someone who wishes to speak to the board this evening? No? Well, thank you very much. Board matters. Board matters?
Board doesn't matter.
We have something else? Closed session. Oh. Closed session? Is that after this, is it not?
Yes.
Or is it before? Right now? I can't hear you. Should we go to just the board matters?
Keep going.
Keep going.
Board matters. I'd like to say congratulations to Mr. Joyce, Darrell Joyce, Mr. Michael Poole, Ms. Betty Robinson, and Ms. Leslie Love Smith, who's in the audience, she's saying. These are our board members for and for those that ran against him, we will say, please, if you're so endowed, want to help us out, please join and help the school and the district out in any way, shape, form, or fashion. As it was announced, this is Veterans Day, so I would be remiss in my duties as a veteran not to recognize those past and present. Most Americans profess a true love for our veterans, especially at gatherings on Veterans Day and Memorial Day. And while their feelings are usually sincere, it's important to remember that veterans are defending us 365 days a year. Their heroism has been demonstrated time and again by veterans from the American Revolution to the global war on terrorism, and is sometimes unnoticed by those of us who enjoy the security that their sacrifice has provided. Remember, we're a volunteer Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Coast Guard, and there's no greater love than to lay down one's life for your friends and your families. Our debt to these heroes can never be repaid, but our gratitude and respect must last forever. For many veterans, our nation was important enough to endure long separations from our families, miss the births of their children, freeze in sub-zero temperatures, bake in wild jungles, lose limbs, and far too often lose their lives. Military spouses have had to endure career interruptions, frequent changes of address, and a disproportionate share of parental responsibilities. Our children often had to deal with changes in school, separation from friends, and hardest of all, the uncertainty of whether or not mom or dad will live through the next combat we cannot fight a war without veterans. And while the utopian ideal of a society without war is appealing, let us not forget that wars have liberated slaves, toppled genocide, and toppled terrorism. It has been often said that without our veterans, Americans would be speaking Russian, German, or perhaps Japanese. Relate that to the war that we're involved in. Many of us Americans speak those languages. Regardless of which view or alternative history you take, we do know that without our veterans, America would not be America. And as we look at the Middle East today, we know that there's a large, dangerous, and committed group of fanatics that want us dead. And while ISIS, Al-Qaeda, and other terrorists may lack the conventional weapons of Nazi Germany or Imperial Japan, they are every bit as evil in their intentions. Those who defend us from our enemies must be supported, whether the service was in Baghdad or Beirut. We need to serve veterans as well as they serve us, even when the guns have temporarily stopped firing. Veterans don't ask for much. They just do not want to be in a special class, but they want the benefits that they deserve. And while not all veterans see war, all who serve in the military have expressed a willingness to fight if called to duty. And at one point, we all wrote a blank check made payable to the United States of America for the amount up to and including our lives. Again, we can show our support for these great men and women by hiring a veteran in your workplace, as to our partners in the listening audience, in the viewing audience, visiting a VA hospital, or donating to a veterans program. We should all understand that it's smart business to hire a veteran, and when members of the Guard and Reserve deploy, it is America's business to ensure that their civilian jobs do not suffer. Fewer than 10% of Americans can claim the title veteran. Far less than 1% of our population is currently defending us in the global war on terrorism. And yet, many seem intent on trying to balance the federal budget by diminishing the quality of life programs designed for families who have already disproportionately made these sacrifices. Veterans have given us freedom, security, and the greatest nation on earth. It is impossible to put a price on that. We must remember them. We must appreciate them. God bless you here in the listening audience, the viewing audience. God bless the veterans, the state of Michigan. God bless America.
To the city of Southfield, Lakewood Village, and Southfield Township, I would like to say good evening. I would like to begin by giving congratulations and kudos to Michael Poole, Betty Robinson, Darrell Joyce, and Leslie Love Smith. They ran a good race and they came out victorious, and they should be appreciated. In addition, I would like to give recognition to our veterans, our great patrons, our great freedom fighters, who gave good service to this country. If it wasn't for their hard work, if it wasn't for their courageousness, for their temerity, America would not be the nation that it is today. So I would just like to conclude by thanking our veterans, thanking them for fighting on the battlefield, for risking their lives to make America what we are today. Thank you, and God bless you.
Good evening. I, too, would like to echo the same sentiments to all veterans, all U.S. veterans across the country, especially Mr. Williams here, and my uncle, who's out at the Evergreen Hill Nursing Home here in Southfield. Uncle, I know you're not doing well, and I remember those stories you used to tell me on that ship in the waters of New Caledonia, and what you prayed at that particular time in your life. Now you're at the end of your life, and I'd like to thank you for that debt of service that you paid to us here in this country, up to including possibly the loss of your life. That's more service than I can say that I've ever given. So, to the veterans, especially my uncle, thank you. To Trustee Robinson, Trustee Charles, Trustee Williams, myself, we spent Wednesday night, all day Thursday, all day Friday. I'm sorry, Trustee Joyce, I apologize. Trustee Joyce, all day Saturday, half the day Sunday, at the Michigan Association, School Board Association Educational Leadership Conference. And what we did was serve this and represented this community. And we did a great job, including Dr. Wood. She spent most of the time with us as well.
We also, as one of the few schools there, we didn't know this was going to happen, was given the great praise in front of all the schools there on the things that we are doing here in Southfield Public Schools. This came from the National School Board Association president.
Okay, Ms. Williams, don't steal my thunder. This next meeting, the end of the year, okay, the end of the year board meeting, okay. I will go through most of the major accomplishments that we've achieved since I've been on the board. And I know Trustee Katz will have even more to add to it, but I've been compiling a list of those accomplishments, and I think Trustee Robinson and Trustee Love Smith heard a partial list of those accomplishments, and that's just it. So we know that there's a whole lot of other accomplishments that are taking place throughout the community that we just wouldn't have enough time to go through and recognize. But we spent a lot of time advocating for not only the students and children of Southfield, Michigan, but the students and children of the state of Michigan, as well as the 50 million public educated kids across this country. We've advocated, we've come together on certain issues. It was a great legislative experience for us. It was a great professional development experience for us all. And not only did we be recognized for best practices, but we were also looking at other best practices that are taking place across this country. So we've got to reinvest in ourselves in order to keep this Ferrari engine running. We've got to keep ourselves well maintained. So I want to thank my board members for taking the time out of their schedules, and none of us were paid for it. Time away from your families, time away from your jobs, to make sure that we are better boards people as we sit down at this table to make decisions that affect the children of this community.
Thank you. I'd like to say good evening to everyone, and also thank you to all our veterans. I'd like to also give special thanks to Southfield community, my friends, co-workers, neighbors who re-elected me to a total of 16,000 votes. I really appreciate that, and I thank you so much for having faith and confidence in me, for re-electing me. Mr. Lewis mentioned campaigning. I have to be honest with you, I have never campaigned. I've always just communicated with my parents and people that I work with, and I send out emails. So that makes me feel really good to know that they have such confidence and faith in me to carry out the wishes that they have elected me for. So I appreciate them, and thank you so much for your votes.
And her email list is long.
Board members, I think it's also important that we remember sometimes what kind of issues we deal with as board members. So, for example, we set priorities for school district expenditures. We develop options for school improvement. Or as it says, not the least of our responsibilities is establishing a good working relationship with our superintendent. Community relations is important, observing fine lines between policymaking and administration. And we also serve an important political role locally and on a national level too. That was a takeaway from board member turnover, which was something I felt was important because sometimes you do get comfortable with your same squad and then you get traded and you're like, who do I pass to? I don't know. So it's important to always sharpen the saw, and that's a shout out to McIntyre. I also took away something that I like to just reflect in the minutes, that way we can always come back and review. But just in terms of new energy ideas for ways to save money on, and also just to have a good reputation in the environment, I was thinking about solar, instead of big expensive solar panel stuff, just some photovoltaic panels for our parking lights, our parking lot lights, I should say. Something that maybe has been done, I just haven't really seen it and been exposed to, and that was something that could very well be a good cost-effective measure for the future. Additionally, I was happy to run into the person from the Northwest Evaluation Association at in the big hall there, and I said, oh, we know you, we use the math, and we love it, and we're even going to do a pseudo math exam on the 18th with the board and everything, so I was really excited, and boy, did she get excited. She gave me bunches of material for us to distribute to the rest of the board, just things to be on the lookout for. Something I thought was pertinent and useful that I've never thought about before is that school districts are the #1 employer in cities. We are the #1 transporter in cities, so we are using those roads. And we are also the #1 lunch provider in our communities. So when you see a school board member or a cafeteria worker or whomever, remember they're part of this community and we employ them. And sometimes it's ugly to say, but it's true. We help get things done in Southfield Public Schools. And then finally was simply, we always talk about tracking our graduates, and people make presentations about that all the time, and I'm sure this will end up in front of Jackie. But I thought it was cool because with regards to graduate follow-up surveys for the 5 years after they leave our campuses, because we get a lot of feedback, sometimes that puzzle us like, what do you mean you're remediating our kids? No, you're not. And so as a product of Southfield Public, I never had to do that, and so I just want to know what the students feel, like what is their perspective on their tenure in Southfield Public Schools, and they also have one for our athletic program. You know, was it robust? Did it give them all the things they needed to? So I'm going to put this in the superintendent's hand, and she'll make sure it gets wherever it needs to be. But, and I'll close by just saying thank you to the vets, my grandfather, my own father. I appreciate you and what you provide for our country as well.
Thank you. Well, I want to begin by welcoming Leslie Love Smith to the board in the first week in January. She will be sworn in as a new member, and a very welcome one. Thank you.
Thank you.
And, well, it's a very emotional, I don't know what to say, so thank you very much. I've enjoyed every minute of it.
You're not leaving yet.
One more.
One more time. One more time. You want to beat me up? Go ahead.
I'm getting emotional in December, that means. We got plans for you, friend.
Uh-oh.
I'll make a motion. Okay. I move we go into close.
Second.
We're now going to go